We drink tequila. We talk.
Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
Yeah.
Can I take a sip now?
Yes, you could take a sip. Well, let's cheers.
This is definitely Casamigos in our cup because our cup says it.
No, it is, actually. Yeah. All right, this is tasty. It's not as sweet as I thought. I gotta say, we went through a whole process of making this cocktail, though. This was not just like a simple pour before we start the podcast.
No, we had to go into the wilderness. We did.
My backyard.
AKA her backyard. But it's outside and it's cold and it's rainy.
I do have a large yard.
You do, and it's the wilderness.
Great. Well, we wanted to really get into it. I wanted to give it an honest try. We got this super cute winter kit from Casamigos, which was amazing. And we wanted to give it the proper, we wanted to give it the proper go because it came with this campfire thing, which we got after a couple of tries.
Well, yeah, it first of all, Casamigos, thank you. And it's not Casamigos, and I'm going to tell you, I call it Casamigos.
You do it all the time, and I stopped telling you.
I know. Everyone has stopped. Everyone has stopped because they're like, you know what, you're just going to go to the bar, and you're like, do you have Casamigos, please?
And they're like, do you mean
Casamigos?
Casa Dragones? Casa, and you're like, no, the other one.
Casamigos. But we lit a fire in your backyard. That's fair to say.
It was a magical, invisible fire. It had a flame, but it didn't really have any colors.
No, it wasn't blue, but you saw that wavy length of
well,
air.
you could feel the heat off of it, and then when you put the marshmallows in front of it, because it came with a s'mores kit as well.
Yes,
which we're gonna post our unboxing. Which it's a thing. Unboxing is a thing.
You know what? My daughter, when she was like 2, to get her to calm down on a plane, I would show her YouTube videos of kids opening toys, and it was the only thing that would stop her from crying. I think people like a reveal.
Well, yeah, but it's just it's a box of a toy. I don't understand watching.
She would be entranced, and I thought, great, I'm making my daughter dumb by letting her watch this. But it's the only thing I'm not going to give her candy to calm down on a plane. So
that's not going to work. That's not going to calm her down.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? Go through YouTube, and she was like fixated for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I know that people like it. I know that there's people that have millions of subscribers and just from unboxing. I know it's a thing. I just personally don't understand it.
It's the sound that it makes, and it's like people how they like all ASMR? These hand actors they how you tear it and how you lay it down, and like people are fixated on that. I don't know. I think we all have anxiety, undiagnosed anxiety, and that's probably calming most people down.
They have these YouTube channels where it's just people in silence building cabins in the woods.
Yeah,
and they sleep in sleeping bags until the cabin is built, and they just build the cabin around them, and then when it's done, they move on. It's crazy to me.
I think people are done with content, like TV content, and I think what that did open up our brains to like slow picture films. What was it called? Those picture films back in the day we didn't talk?
Silent films.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of, we went the opposite way where we just want silence, but to look at something. Like if I was in college, I probably would put that building show on, just to write a paper and just glance up and be like, he's spiraling.
Well, I think that's what people put it on, and it's not that they get super locked in. It's just on.
You just glance.
But these people are building it they start with nothing, and it's one guy.
You showed me. I was like, what? And
and they're out there in the winter just building log cabins and shit. I mean, this is the thing, is we think that we're going through the winter in California right now.
Well, we just had a blizzard, and that is not an exaggeration. That is a real true fact.
I think it's a little bit of an exaggeration. My dad keeps texting me, and he's like,
because
did you get snow? The news says you have snow. And I'm like, Dad, I promise you.
Because the media doesn't. This is my issue, because the media doesn't understand how to talk about California. So growing up, my friend's grandparents lived in Big Bear. So I'm like, how's the snow? They're like, oh, my grandma said it's that. When people talk about California as a whole and you say California's getting a blizzard, that is highly inaccurate.
But also Mount Whitney's one of the highest peaks in North America, I think. And there's Mammoth, and there's all of these snow resorts, and there's all of these wintry like Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
Wait, Tahoe. Oh my God. Cheers. But there's like all of these cold places in California. It's just that people don't understand how this is going to be a tough one. Meteorologically. Nope.
Meteorologically.
Meteorology.
Meteorology.
Meteorologically.
Okay.
I think that's the one.
I don't know if it's a
diverse. I just mean that we have all different kinds of weather.
Weather patterns in
And we
California
have all different kinds of climates.
Yes, and people don't understand the height. Like there was snow. So I have family that lives in Rancho Cucamonga, which Californians call the desert, and then you have the high desert, which is like Hemet and all those places. Where my girlfriend lives in Fontana, which isn't even that far from where we live, and she was literally snowing. Her kids' playset was covered in snow, and those people who live out there, they're like, we get snow, but it never sticks. It flurries sometimes, but I think it's because the mountains got so much snow,
Pounded.
They got pounded that I think it brought it down, and it's been chilly here. I mean, I just got here last night, and I was
really cold. We had our winter coats on today.
I had my Canada Goose coat on, which is used for the Antarctic.
It was very cold and wet. I will say that it's about 42 degrees outside. It is cold. It's wet. It's not quite snowing. I feel like the Canadians would laugh at us, or even like the Minnesotans,
the Chicago Illinoisans, the Michiganians.
I mean, but I think that they think that we're super extra, no matter what.
Well, we are because, but think about it. We don't get climates. I think, one of my favorite things to say is like, if I wanted to go skiing in the winter in California, I could and then go to Malibu at the end of the day. Yeah, I could. We kind of like that as a brand, but no one really wants it.
Nobody does it.
Nobody really. But
they
it's
say,
good.
yeah, you can surf and ski in the same day.
Great marketing.
It is great marketing.
Great marketing.
But I don't know. I feel like, of course, people have done
Oh yeah, there's
just
been
to
YouTube.
say
There's
that they
YouTube channels
did.
of these kids that do it every year. Yeah,
It sounds exhausting.
you got to be a kid. You have to want to do, and I'm not a big winter sport gal. I'm not a big winter gal in general.
No, I don't like being cold and wet, so this weather's not doing a ton for me.
No, but some people are like, oh, it's good. Like, my husband's mom is like, what's, old school, what's good for your skin is the cold for your pores.
Well, it's good for your metabolism, which we love here at
Yep.
Team Tequila Talks.
Yeah. So we're living in like a cold plunge. Is that accurate to say?
I wouldn't say we're living in a cold plunge.
Well, if you ran around naked, it was like 37 degrees last night. Is that cold plunge?
I wasn't here last night. I just came
It was.
back today.
I flew in and it was 37 degrees, and I thought, like this. If you ran around naked, that has to do something for your body.
Well, I also think that like cold plunges are a new fitness, wellness trend, and I do absolutely think there's something to it. I have weird circulation issues, so I have to be really careful with any like cryo cold therapy because I've been hooked up to like some of those cold machines before. It's like, please remove this patient from the machine.
She
no
is
circulation.
too icy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're too icy.
I guess. I don't know. I was a Mrs. Freeze once.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Accurate.
How appropriate.
How appropriate.
We've talked about saunas and infrared saunas and all of these heat therapies and steam rooms, and I feel like those exist in Los Angeles and on the West Coast, but not to the degree that a lot of other places have them, because most of the year, 6 months out of the year, you just walk outside.
Yeah, you don't want, and I think, talking about us being extra, I do think Californians on a whole want all the things. And I say that because we want, all the different food items, but mostly healthy. We'll pay $25 for a smoothie if it's going to have the blue magic, the collagen, the gold flakes.
That's a Creation.
Yes,
It's more
not,
than that.
Not Creation. It's Erewhon.
Okay, but Creation
They have
also
one too?
has their like gold standard
See,
smoothies.
they're all competing now.
And I want to look this up because I actually want to know. And it's got crushed pearl. And so I didn't understand that
Erewhon.
the name of, they have this section on the menu, and I am going to look it up right now.
Yeah.
But they have this section on the menu that's like high end or elite smoothies or whatever.
See, Californians see high end and they're like, oh, I want that one.
Well, okay, so I saw this and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'll just get that. And they also have something called extraordinary lattes, or maybe it's online it might say premium smoothies, but I feel like Glamology with collagen protein and custom smoothies.
Yeah, I'm looking
Here it is. Transform smoothies. I think Radiance. And where's the other one? Sun Life Organics. They've got like a $60 smoothie. And it's got 24 karat gold and crushed pearl and all of this shit.
And the Hailey Bieber at Erewhon, it's the collagen skin. It's called the skin strawberry. What is it called? The strawberry.
Listen, I'm down for spending
strawberry
money
glaze. Yeah.
and investing in my body. What I am not up for is paying that much for a fucking smoothie.
I'll do it once just because you kind of like, for me, that's like an aphrodisiac. If I see something that says like, has these benefits, I'm like, wait, what? And then I have to try it once.
Get some oysters.
Yeah, legit. And then but it has sea moss in it, which is like all the rage now, which has been around forever. But sea moss is this kind of like dried sea strands that they dry out. And my husband puts it in his oatmeal and his smoothies. It comes in a gel, and it has like, I forget all the minerals and nutrients you need in your body for like the day. And it has sea moss in it, collagen, strawberry glaze, coconut cream, avocado. I will say it was a bit too sweet for me, and it's totally for 20, however old Hailey Bieber is. I was like, this is way too much sugar. It has banana, strawberry, avocado, maple dates, vanilla stevia, vanilla collagen, sea moss.
That's a lot of
coconut,
the banana and the date.
Coconut cream and a strawberry glaze. That's like, I bought it for Skylar once because she thought it was really, my daughter thought it was really cute, but she loved it, and I can only drink like half of it. I can't have that much sweet.
No, I always ask them to
half sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I the one that I had at Creation was gold and crushed pearl, and it was like $25.
What does the crushed pearl do? Like, honestly,
I think it's supposed to make you radiant. I think it was called a radiance smoothie,
like your skin.
And it was, but the reason I ordered it, I say that I'm not going to spend that much money on it, is because I didn't know it was $25. Because there's a separate section on the menu that's like normal smoothies, and then bougie smoothies.
But it's
I don't know.
But it's very, very Californian of you to gravitate towards the most expensive.
I know. But I didn't even look at the price because I didn't think that I was ordering a fucking $30 smoothie by the time you're done with like tax and, rounding up and tipping them the change and stuff like that. So like I all of a sudden am paying $30 for this smoothie, and I'm like, okay, well, is this going to be 3 meals? Am I sharing this? I actually drank half of it, went home, put the other half in my fridge, and I was like, I'm going to stretch this out. This is going to be stretched out. And I don't think I would have paid for it. Well, I mean, I obviously ordered it. And so by the time they gave it to me and they said, okay, this will be $25 plus tax. And I was like, what? This better make me like shit gold dust. This better give me the Midas touch. And was it good? Sure. Was I glowing? I don't think so.
Well, this is my problem with those smoothies. You got to do it every day. You cannot do it one day and think.
I mean, who could spend that much money on a smoothie?
And I think that's the point. That's the point, is like they want you to come in. And right now, Erewhon is like a big tourist spot. I hate going there now because it's like.
Oh, you used to love it.
I used to love it, but now I hate going there. I have to go there otherwise it's like you got the high school kids, you have all the people from the neighborhood, and now you get these tourists that are out taking photos in front of Erewhon with their smoothies, and like all the TikTokers and with their little handheld cams. And I'm like, the line is out the door for the hot bar. And the hot bar, look, I spend probably like $60 on like,
that's insane.
It's insane.
If I'm spending $60 on
chicken,
lunch,
well,
it better have some fresh shaved truffle.
Well, this is why I think Erewhon wins, because I'll take my daughter there for dinner because they have chefs that are cooking it and everything's organic. And they don't use secret sugars. They don't use,
canola
sunflower oil,
grapeseed oil.
grapes. So it's like you're going there. You're like, look, I'm not going to cook tonight. Okay, well, these people are going to cook it like this. So think about it. But it's like a dinner with the alcohol without the alcohol. $60.
I don't know, though. I mean, listen, it's not even about the alcohol. I just think that you can get great organic food options. You can go to your mom and pop neighborhood restaurant.
It's true.
And you can get great food that's not $60. They're like, well, you can get waited on. You're not, doing counter service at a grocery store.
It's true.
It's just not for me. Listen,
I know.
It's your money. You can spend it on whatever the hell you want.
I love Erewhon isn't a place to buy. I sent my girlfriend a picture. It was like $16.99 for organic grapes, and I was like, I think this is a misprint. And the manager was like, no, it's $16.99 for like the organic grapes. And I was like, if you want
a pound,
it was for the carton. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. And so I go there mostly for the hot bar and smoothies. I do not shop at Erewhon because I have my places where I get my meat and all my canned goods.
So you go only for the deli?
I only go for the deli because I feel, and they have like cute little like chicken salads that are made with like coconut, like dairy free mayonnaise. So I feel like if I'm on the go, I can just pop in and like grab that and eat in the car.
I feel like this was, I remember when I moved to LA and everybody was talking about Whole Foods, and Whole Foods is actually Texas based.
Yeah.
But I feel like they really marked up the prices in Los Angeles, and people used to call it a whole paycheck, and you only went there if you were really bougie. And now it's such a staple. And I compare the prices to a regular grocery store, and they're about the same. I think that was an Amazon acquisition thing. But the Whole Foods isn't the crazy thing to do anymore.
No, but it used to be though. When you went, I only used to go to Whole Foods once a month because I was like, I would just buy the main like meats because they had that really good like butcher where it's like they level 1 meats, 2, 3 tells you if it's like organic or if they live outside. So I was like, I want some clean grass-fed steak. I would go there. I didn't shop there often. Now I do because I do feel like you're not killing when you shop at Erewhon. Like this lady in front of me, I'll never forget. I was like behind her line. It was like $810, and I promise you fit everything in 2 bags.
Yeah.
Like and I was like $810, and I was like looking and like kind of peeping like over her. It's $810.
So every time I go to the grocery store, and the one that I like that's closest to me is in a historically gay neighborhood. Okay. So it's like a lot of single guys.
Yes.
Sorry, let me rephrase. Maybe they have boyfriends, but like everybody I see there is like solo, and they usually have their one basket, and they're clearly shopping for like a party of 1 or maybe a date night for 2. Right? They've got the little handheld basket.
And do you have the
little? I have this fuck off grocery cart that is overflowing, and I'm holding stuff on top of it, and it's like every time, at least 9 times out of 10, if not every time.
I know I
pull up to the cashier, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to need bags?" And I'm like, yeah. Are you shopping for a party? I'm like, no, this is just how much food a family of 4 eats.
Yeah.
Because I'm only going to go to the grocery store probably once every 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do about once every 2 weeks. So, and then I always like forget one item that I have to go back for, and I hate it.
Yeah, but I only do like a stock up once, like a big run for like 2 weeks, and then what I'll probably do is the next week I'll go and top off on meat and produce.
Well, yeah, I don't like to freeze meats long, so if I do buy meats and I put them in the fridge, I'm using it in the next couple days.
Yeah,
and then I freeze some.
Well, I have to say that like Whole Foods used to be the bougie thing, and like now it's mainstream. There are some things that I feel like came out in Los Angeles first, or maybe like San Francisco, I guess, but there are some things like sound baths that everybody thought we were wacky for spending money on, and now it's becoming a bit more mainstream. What's a sound bath? You lay in a room, and they bring in these blessed crystals that are tuned to certain frequencies that align with your chakras, and you do a meditation, and you lie down, and you whoa, 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 and you let the frequency heal you. Whoa, 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 whoa. You let the frequency heal you. And I went to this once. I was on ClassPass, had all these credits, and I was one of the original users of ClassPass, so they're like, you're grandfathered in on this plan, and if you ever get off of it, you are never going to be able to get it back, right? So I just kept it. So I would have these months where I would travel and I would be gone, and then I'd have all these credits to use. And I remember going to this place called The Den, and it's a meditation room.
I've been. The Den is in.
There's the original one was on La Brea, and then they opened one in Studio City.
Okay.
Right by your Tracy Anderson.
Yes.
They've also got, there was like Unplugged, which these are just literally meditation studios.
Yeah, they're not workout studios.
No.
You don't do yoga there. You're not going to do, you're literally there to get like rebalanced, your energy repositioned.
Well, when I went, I was like, meditation studio, this seems like a sham. No. And then I went and I walked in and I immediately felt more zen. It's an energy thing. And they go, okay, well, we're just going to show you around. And we've got these pillows and these seats, and we're going to have this shaman not monk,
healer.
Yes, that is in from Thailand, and they are going to lead the meditation, and they're trained in XYZ meditations. And they go, and here, our social area where after you can come and discuss your unwind, and we have wine over here. Help yourself. And I'm like, whoa.
Very LA for the wine to be in meditation. First of all, wine should not be a part of meditation, but this is LA.
It was for after.
Well, I mean, it should not be. Your after is the meditation. It puts you in the after. Well, but I mean, Look, I was a yogi for like 7 years, did it 7 days a week. And I was also vegan, which is probably, I mean, there are vegan people in the world, but I was for 2 years. I was vegan for 2 years, but did yogi hardcore for 7 years. Didn't do another workout. I was very, very thin, but I do think that the yoga in California is unlike yoga probably any other place. And I've done it in New York, Illinois, and Miami back in the day. And I will say that it's an aggressive athletic yoga. It's
more like power yoga.
It's more like power yoga.
Yeah.
It's not the yoga you think when you're like trying to unwind. It's not, chi. What's it called?
Hatha, breath work.
No, the chi one. Not the hatha one is the other one. Yin. The yin.
Oh, yin. I like yin, though.
I love yin.
But yin's like a recovery day. It's like a stretch, breathe, allow your body to recover and heal. Yeah. I mean, I dig it. But there's different types of yoga for different things. There's also been, you can talk about LA yoga, but there's also all kinds of funky fitness trends that I feel like we've had in Los Angeles and New York. I feel like New York too. They do things just to try to be different. Not to shit on New York, but I think that the mindset is if I can make this happen here, it'll work anywhere. It'll work, yeah. So let's just get to the
vibe here.
The path of least resistance. It's not least resistance, right. But like let's just make it work in New York and it'll work in Ohio. Like something like Soul Cycle. So Soul Cycle started
and I remember watching before they came to LA. I remember being like, I want to do this work. I would see it on like Instagram or Twitter, and I'd be like, these people are on this bike, and who is that? The day host who Kelly Ripa.
Kelly Ripa.
She put it on Good Day with Kelly Ripa, whatever her show is, Kelly Ripa and Mark show, or now it's the. It
used to be like Kelly and Michael Live. I think it's just called Live.
Is it called Live with Kelly and Ryan? Now Ryan quit.
Seacrest.
No, Ryan quit. So now it's Mark. Mark, her husband is doing with her now. Live with Kelly and Mark.
Oh, good. I like him.
That's very cute. They have kids. I kind of like that. But
she's been doing it for like.
She was a starter. She was in the.
It was Regis and Kelly.
Yes.
And then it was Kelly and Michael Strahan was in there for a while.
Well, it was Kelly and Mike after Regis left, right? No, they did guest host in Mike, then Mike quit because they gave him the other morning show, America. And that was like kind of a scandal. And then it was Kelly and Ryan, who we all know Ryan Seacrest from American Idol. And then now I just read last week that Ryan is out of there, and now it's her husband, which I feel like that probably is the end of her reign when her and her husband stop. I think that's kind of cute. I actually like them together.
Yeah.
But she put it on the show. I'm talking about, I was like in college, it was like 20 years ago. And I remember waking up being like, and she had the instructors in the studio. And
she brought them into
They were in on these bikes, and she was just like, it gets your blood. And she goes at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and the music was pounding, and they were like going to the side and going. And I was like, I got to do this. I need to do this workout. And I think it had its moment, especially in COVID.
It did.
Everyone had the Peloton and the Soul Cycle.
Well, Peloton's not exactly the same as Soul Cycle, but you mean the spin. But the spin community too, because anybody can get on a bike. But you mean like the logging into the live classes and the synchronicity of doing it with other people and the energy of like,
it's in a hot room.
Other people are climbing this with me, this hill with me,
and it's very, I think. Angela, she, what's her name? And she was the kind of person who blew Soul Cycle up. She was a teacher. Oh. She's Angela Lorenzo, Jerry Lorenzo's a sister. He owns that clothing line, Fear of God. That's like ridiculously expensive and amazing clothing line. But she blew it up because she was like spiritual. So when you took her, you could never book her class in LA, ever, or New York.
Oh, because
she elevated the room with this whole, let's go back to the LA meditation thing where I've
heard it's like church.
It was like church, and it was I was able to take one class ever, and it was like you walk in and the vibe, this music, and it was so uplifting that people were crying. And I was like, before class started, she was like, and this is what she said, get rid of your yesterday. That was how she started it. And I thought, I kind of like that. And she's like, you're walking in here. You've chosen to be here. You can do whatever you want, however you want. If you don't want to be on the beat, don't be on the beat. But let me push you out of your comfort zone. And but then she would take it to the last song, people were killed over and crying. And I was like, this lady is special.
No.
Like this is her podium.
Well, I feel like that's kind of like Taryn Toomey. She started the class.
The class. Very similar.
And I feel like the class, and I love the class, and I don't do it religiously, pun intended.
I used to do it more. I feel like in COVID I did more.
Well, because there's no equipment required.
That's what I get.
There's no equipment, and I love
it
because you just need it. You don't even need, I mean, I use my iPad, but you can use your phone, and you just need headphones. And even if you're in a hotel room, you don't need headphones. I think it sounds better with headphones because you really want to get into the music. Yeah. But it's like Soul Cycle, but on the mat.
On the mat.
It's you are doing one exercise for an entire song, and that's a tough one when it's burpees.
Yep.
But
or lunges.
Or
jump squats.
Jumpy jacks.
Yeah.
It's kind of like plyometrics meets.
Yeah,
it's just like body weight stuff.
It's all body weight. I wouldn't. You don't really. I mean, I've seen people use like 2-3 pound weights with her.
Yeah,
I've seen people put on ankle weight. The class that we took,
you can do it with ankle weights, but sometimes you got to jump because one of my favorite parts of it is that you hit the midpoint in class and they're like, just go crazy,
yeah,
and you just like,
or you're like,
can scream and breathe and you just realize that you're shaking out part of your day that you didn't realize was so. That you were grouping so tight to. And
I think there is a space for those types of workouts. I truly believe that some days, I mean, I'm a Tracy Anderson addict, and, I know you don't like the hot room.
Nope. It's a no for me.
I know, but she has this opening arm ceremony, which is, if you watch someone doing it, you're like, are you freaking out? Are you like calling a cab?
But that's kind of like the class.
It is.
Like chest clearing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same.
But it's energy clearing and you feel euphoric. So I don't think I can ever go back to like lifting weights like I used to, just because I feel like my brain is not attached to it in the way it was in my like 20s and 30s.
Yep.
I feel like I need something a little more elevated, a little more mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah, because our time is limited.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't have time to go to the gym for an hour and a half and then shower and commute on top of that and then also work in my mental and spiritual workout and have a 30-minute meditation. There's just not enough hours in the day.
In fact, I do these 6-minute YouTube meditations. They're amazing. I just did one for fear and anxiety because I was on this flight.
You can meditate in 2 minutes.
I know, but I was on the flight coming back, and the pilot was like, when the pilot comes on, he's like, it's just gonna be bumpy. I mean, we're gonna go around as much as we can. Ugh. And I look at the flight attendant. Really it's just not. But it was the way he didn't say, "Hey guys, welcome aboard." He was just like, "Yeah, so it's just gonna be real, isn't it?"
Guys, it's gonna be bad.
I'm gonna seat the flight attendants down. They're not gonna start service for be bumpy for an hour, and bumpy was and maybe for a pilot, I think what they're bumpy for them is not bumpy for us.
Well,
we were shaken and stirred.
You're in the back of the plane.
Well, I was not in the back.
Well, it's like when you're driving and you don't get motion sick in the front seat because you're anticipating the turns a bit more.
Well, I wasn't, and I just feel like when they're so far up front and they're like, "Oh, we're rocking," and I think I feel like, and the plane
makes things interesting.
Yeah, well, I think they're so bored up there, and the plane starts to do this weird sway thing.
Well, everybody's shitting their pants in the back.
The lady turned around and she was just, she looked at the flight attendants. And they were just like,
"We're rocking,"
for 50 minutes, and I thought, oh, I need a meditation. And we had Wi-Fi, and I hopped on YouTube, Fear and Anxiety, and let me tell you something. That plane was rocking and rolling, and I was like, time for a movie.
Yeah.
I checked out, and then I believe, I know it's LA, but I think it's useful.
Those meditation classes, I feel like, kind of take off. The other ones that are kind of obscure is they have those studios where you just go to stretch or recover. They have these recovery lounges.
Yes.
Right?
The stretch lounge, well, it's not there anymore, but it was.
But there's still some, including, or there's all-inclusive recovery lounges that have a stretch service where someone comes and stretches you. Like they allegedly bend you in ways that you can't bend. I tried it.
Have you done it yet?
Yeah, I tried it. I think it's great if someone is looking to be present in their body and expand their abilities and is either a beginner or recovering from an injury that they don't know how to.
So if you work out often, that is not for me then.
I mean, it's like $35-$45 for a fucking session.
But are they getting in your hammy and your hip opening?
I mean, no more than you could if you are body aware and are capable of stretching on your own.
Because the stretch lounge, I will say, they sat me on a table, my butt, and they had me put one leg to my chest and let the other quad just kind of slowly go down, and it was painful, and it released my lower back, my hip, my quad, my hip flexor. That was at the Stretch Lounge, and I paid, well, when they were there, I paid for that, and it was like $90 for
Oh my God.
and $90 for an hour and 30 though.
I feel like there's YouTube tutorials that could.
But sometimes you just want someone to do it for
These
you.
things are so expensive these days.
Cassandra, inflation. You just
I know.
It's
I know.
inflation.
I know.
But $90 to get stretched. I mean, look, if you're LeBron James, was $90, right? Like if
Right.
and I understand I'm not LeBron James, but I was feeling so tight, and I tried to do yoga class, and my hamstrings were on fire, and I was like, you know what, I need to get, and sure enough, I had like knots and all other things going on.
Well, there's also, I remember that there was a climbing studio. You know the machine? I'm not talking about rock climbing. I'm talking about the machine.
There's a studio
where
in
you
La
step
Cienega.
in.
It's the what's that
Is that
studio
still
called?
there?
No, I think
It's
what
called
was it?
like The Climb or something.
It was called something else because
There's rowing studios. I mean,
Oh,
I
I
think
can't
that
do
people.
rowing studios.
I think what people did is they saw the success of Soul Cycle and went, "We can do that." But for those of you that hate being on a bike, we're gonna try it
Rowing.
with this machine.
was-
And they do the dark lights and the boom boom boom. Which, trust me, I love upbeat music. I love a boom boom boom. But I think that there were a ton of classes and concepts that were really reaching.
Yeah.
I mean, Barry's Boot Camp is one that is now quite popular, but that one, I feel like that one has stuck around and continues to be popular because it's not just one thing. It's not
It's
specific
weights
to being
and
on it.
treadmill.
It's weights and treadmill. And if you don't want to do the treadmill, you can do a double floor.
Yeah.
And I think it is expanded. I feel like Barry's Boot Camp is nationwide,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of riffs on Barry's Boot Camp
Yes.
as well.
There's like Orange Theory, which has the water row with the treadmill and the floor.
Yep.
That's a 3-parter. I mean, I was doing that for a while, and my body was in so much pain after. It's just, I would hurt all
Really?
over.
So Bunda is one that is the same,
Right.
But it is the
Stair climber.
Stairmaster.
Stairmaster
The
and
problem
weights.
is I have huge feet. So I
Are you banging your toe?
Oh my God. And like tripping. So I got there. I had taken one class once years ago. And then post-COVID, things are opening up and I'm wanting to mix things up and get back into an exercise
Right.
studio. And so I go, oh, Bunda, I remember that place is all butt, right? Yeah. And so it's
Ass.
very female centric because it has a lot of like butt and lower body focus. They also do upper body, but you know. And so I decided to go back and I go and I'm like checking things out and I go, oh yeah, this is great. Why was I not here more often? This is I should come more often. I tripped over myself so many times. I'm banging my feet on this fucking Stairmaster and I'm like, where's the Stairmaster for the people with clown feet? Because I am a size 10, and this is
unbelievable that you
not
have a
what
size.
I know it's unbelievable, but this is what I live with. Okay. And so I've been like having such a hard time, and they're saying, "Let go of the rails," and I'm like, "I will not."
Lawsuit.
Because the Stairmasters are also so high off the ground because you have to be able to have the space to climb the stairs.
Well, for this rotate.
Oh, yeah, I loved the floor, but I'm like, man, I can't do this class and not be on the Stairmaster because it's kind of the point. And I'm
Well,
not.
it's the cardio. I think cardio weightlifting element is always good for the heart
best of
and
both worlds.
best of both worlds. But you know, I do light weights, heavy reps. Look, I used to do Billy Blanks back in the day. He had a Tybo, and it was like Eddie Murphy was in class. It's just like when he was at the height. He had that big like spot off of Ventura.
He was
in
like
Sherman
the
Oaks.
celebrity trainer.
Oh, no.
He would have infomercials. He'd have
Yes.
those tapes that you can
But
get for 2 low payments of $39.99.
Right. But he also did the spiritual. And I think there's something, the reason why Californians, I believe, gravitate towards that is because I wouldn't call like California like a uber religious state. Like there's no doctrine here.
I think people are
It's too
spiritually
many-
aware, though.
Right. There's no, because too many
That's why we
artists.
spend hundreds of dollars on crystals and incense.
That's
and shit.
right.
And don't think twice about it.
And
With
Billy's
our
like-
$17 Erewhon smoothies.
Right. And Billy would be like, you know, you don't love yourself. I can tell there's 50% of the people in this room don't love yourself. And I'm like, well, I love myself.
Of course you do, Cheyenne.
Like, but then people would cry. And I'm like, oh, they're having a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And the abs
But when you
portion,
pair that with an elevated heart rate and your blood is pumping.
you're getting it out anyways. You're doing the work your body needs. That's why I always say you got to move at least 3 to 5 days a week because A stagnant mind is not good. A stagnant body does not serve a stagnant mind. Like a active body will serve an active mind better than an active body serving a, you know what I mean?
I think there's also something about the sense of community because we all have, as we saw through COVID, the ability to get a Peloton or get a yoga app, or even, like I said, I do the class. And that's on an app on my phone. And there's so many different apps out there. And we still end up coming back to the classes. Maybe not as much and maybe not every day, because I think we have a new concept of time and how we spend our time. Because it's not just the 50-minute class. It's driving to the class in traffic and then having to shower after. And then all of a sudden I wanted to go to a class takes 2.5 hours out of your day.
Yeah.
And listen, nobody has time for that. Right? Unless you are a professional athlete and that is your job, right? That's what you're getting paid to do, is to train your body.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us that are not athletes, like, we just don't have time.
No.
Maybe you could do that once a week, maybe. But it ends up being a lot. And I think that the reason people are still working in classes is because people want to sweat with someone and want to know that, like, they're not alone in this feeling of struggle on the mat or struggle lifting a weight. Yeah. Right? We're social beings. We're designed to be with other people, and whatever that may be, whether that's good times or struggles, and that includes struggle like while you're trying to break a sweat.
Right.
There's a subconscious thing to it.
And I think that's why I couldn't live in a state that, and I, we're going back to Californians being extra, but I feel like a place where there wasn't, where people just don't work out like that. Like, I just couldn't.
Well, they don't in France.
Well, because they have the good bread and the good meats. They don't need, their workout is lifting their wine glass.
I think they walk everywhere. Like this. So this
It's true.
This is a big thing too, is there's all this emergent science in the best thing that you can do, especially as it pertains to hormones, which we've talked a lot about lately, is to go on walks. I follow this one guy. He's like, if you only have an hour in your day, I would rather you skip the workout and go on a walk for an hour.
I hike. I do a light hike, and it takes me an hour and 10 minutes. And I will tell you, not only is there, you shrink your body. If you do that 3 days a week and your body just does a weird thing, it's like it needs nature, like it needs you to get outside and breathe fresh air. But if you put on like a 5-pound plate, they sell these plates that I just got like a couple months ago, and they're like a vest, like a plate.
It's like an
vest.
ankle weight, but for your vest?
It's for your chest, yes, and you clip it. And the science, they did, it's a 20-year study where they did with 40s, 50s, 60s. 20-year study, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-olds. And they started them at the 50-year-olds at 70. And that was kind of the market where, how do you get 50-year-olds, who are about to retire, active, where, some people just don't want to lift a weight. And I get that. You just don't want to be there squatting and lunging and walking on a treadmill, to get them to walk around their neighborhood a mile a day. But you put the weight on and you add the different weight, the posture, the back, the lower back, the hamstrings, the quads. It's kind of like a full body workout. Walking at like not even a brisk pace. It's for
just regular walking.
Well, for a mile. Like at a mile, the study was a mile, which you can walk a mile. It sounds long.
You can walk a mile.
You can walk.
It's not. A mile. No. If you walk at an average pace, it's probably like 20 minutes.
Which I remember when we were living in Vancouver, and I didn't have a car, and it would say like 0.9 miles. I would walk to go to the class. But if I see 0.9 miles in LA, it's like, that's a fuck no. But the blocks are long here. They don't make you feel like you're making leadway.
Oh, that's
true. Look how long Sunset is.
I live in a very steep area, and it's not a walking friendly area, but I try anyway. Yeah, right? I mean, I think you do the best you can, which is all we can do. Well, we're going to try to stay warm. We're going to try to go on walks when the weather's nice again.
No one's
In the meantime, we have our classes. We have our meditation dens.
And our $25 smoothies.
I think we should go try a new class. Let's make that our homework.
Okay. Well, we'll report back what new class we're going to take.
I think that should be everybody's homework. I think you should try a new class and then reward yourself with a nice, clean tequila cocktail.
Ooh. Like, or this hot chocolate. This hot chocolate s'more smoothie. No, this isn't a smoothie.
Not a smoothie.
Hot chocolate s'mores.
Maybe we should crush some pearl in it and see how it goes.
I don't believe that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody, thanks for joining us on Team Tequila Talks. Your host, Cassandra, Jean, Amel, and Sharon Gonzalez, and we will catch you next time.
Adios, Casamigos.
Nope. Say it right. Say it right.
Casamigos.